What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. I am recording this after the NFL Combine, so welcome to Mock Draft 3.0. Per usual, this is going to be a what I would do mock draft. I am taking the seat of all 32 GMs in the NFL, trying to make the best possible decision, in my opinion, for each team. Not predicting what I necessarily think will happen, but what I think should happen based on my own player evaluations. So please do hit that like button, but also if you enjoy my draft content, you want the full TFG Draft Insider package, head over to my Patreon. That's patreon.com/ThatFranchiseGuy. You can get access to my full draft board with profiles on every player in the class, exclusive film breakdowns, and 7-round mock drafts per team coming up soon there on Patreon. So go check it out if you enjoy my draft content and want to get the full package. All right, let's hop in here with the first pick. Again, what I would do, but that doesn't matter. This is what's going to happen anyway. Joe Burrow to the Bengals, trying to take that swing on a future franchise quarterback. Then the second pick, the Washington Redskins, gonna grab Chase Young here. Definitely would think about trades and entertain trades, but again, not just picking for the Redskins here, picking for every team, so to speak. If I'm going to trade up, I want to make sure the value's there and it makes sense for my team, and it really didn't make sense for either sides here. So, gonna take Chase Young, the best player in this class, most likely, and plug him in there on the edge, and all of a sudden, kind of reminiscent of what the Niners did, adding Nick Bosa as that last piece of the puzzle. Get Ron Rivera in there. That Redskins defense could be sneaky good next year. Then the third pick, this is when it gets really tough. This was honestly probably the hardest pick in this entire mock draft for me to do. Again, would definitely thinking about trading down here. A lot of people are going to have Tua Tagovailoa here. It's well known. I'm just not high on Tua. I think he's a good prospect. I do have a first round grade on him, but then you add the injury concerns on top of that. I don't think he's this elite, can't miss prospect that is worth trading up for. And Detroit needs to see good return to move down, especially when Isaiah Simmons came out and had the combine he did in Indianapolis, which really probably makes him the second and only blue chip prospect in this class, which definitely increases the value of this pick for Detroit. So normally this would be really easy to just take Isaiah Simmons here. If no one's going to trade up and sell the farm to come up and get Tua, which if I'm in control of the Dolphins and the Chargers and all these other teams, I'm not going to do that. If you want a predictions mock draft, go watch another one. This is what I would do. Now, the reason this gets so difficult is schematically, Isaiah Simmons makes no sense in the Belichickian defense. At middle linebacker, they want big 245-pound linebackers. Now, I know Simmons weighed in at 238. Look, he only played 80 snaps as an inside linebacker in college, and I'm not taking him with the third overall pick to just be a between-the-tackles middle linebacker all the time. I want him in a scheme that is, for the most part, going to play him as a weak side linebacker, have him on slot wide receivers, tight ends, running backs out of the backfield, not engaging with guards all the time and just using little, hook zones where you're not maximizing that range he has, the ability to cover corner routes and run deep on seams. You're not going to do that as much as a middle linebacker in this scheme. And then as an outside linebacker, they're not traditional weak side linebackers either. Think about Kyle Van Noy, Jamie Collins, Devin Kennard in this scheme, Dante Hightower. The outside linebackers in this scheme are 4-3 under linebackers and 3-4 outside linebackers that are that edge, coverage, run defense, big-bodied hybrid guys. That's definitely not Isaiah Simmons. You're drastically underutilizing him if you draft him to play that. So schematically, it makes no sense. But this sounds terrible to say. If I'm the general manager, I don't have a lot of confidence that Matt Patricia's going to be here after this year. Isaiah Simmons might just play strong safety for Matt Patricia, but, he's the best player. And I'm just going to hope that my coach next year can figure out how to use him, because I think this is the right pick for this team. It's a huge need, too, but I don't know if he'd have the best rookie year with Matt Patricia. I would just say that right now if he goes there. And then the fourth pick with the New York Giants. Definitely looking to trade down here. Tackle is a huge need. There's some really good tackles in this class, especially with how Mekhi Becton has really emerged. So I'm more than comfortable looking to move down here. And this is something I tweeted about before the combine. This is a player that I mocked in the top 6 about a month ago and got ridiculed for it because people thought I was crazy for thinking he was a top 10 player. But now, after the combine, all of the buzz, every reporter and their mother has Jordan Love locked in as a top 10 pick, and I firmly believe he is worth it. He's not a perfect prospect, but things really disappeared at Utah State that final year. Lost basically his entire group of starters, a new coach. He was definitely pressing, trying to do too much. To me, he's the second best quarterback in this class. Worth trading up for, especially if you are a team here in the Indianapolis Colts, who to me are a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. You've got the coach. You've got a ton of depth. You have an elite offensive line. Yeah, you could use a little pieces here or there, but you have a general manager in Chris Ballard that you know can hit those guys in the mid-rounds. This is a steep price, giving up the 13th pick, the second pick in the second round, which is bonus capital that this team has to go up and get a player like Jordan Love and a future first-round pick, which you're hoping is going to be, a playoff spot anyway. You go up, try to do what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, jump teams like Miami if they happen to like Love, the Chargers, the Panthers, anyone else that wants to get up there, the Jaguars, get ahead of those teams, the Raiders, who I know are going to like Jordan Love. Get up ahead of them if he works out, and I think he would in this situation. I think it's a very good situation. It doesn't matter if you give up a couple extra picks. It doesn't matter where those picks are. So this is not only what I would do, I actually think this trade will happen on draft night. Going to be kind of a bold prediction, but I'm going to stand by it. Then the 5th pick. Another kind of hot take that I'm going to stand by. Guys, I am not going to put Tua with that body, those injury concerns, behind what has been the worst offensive line I maybe have ever seen. I'm just not going to do it. I don't think his upside is big enough to warrant that risk. I'd rather put a good offensive line in front of Josh Rosen than put Tua behind a crappy offensive line. And when there are the tackles available here at number 5 that are there, I'm taking a tackle. So Andrew Thomas is the pick for me. He gets a lot of hate for really no good reason. I understand if you want to put Wills as your number 1 tackle. For me, it is Andrew Thomas. I think Wills is more of the shiny new toy. We weren't fully sure if he was going to come out this year. Andrew Thomas, ever since he got to Georgia, he's been kind of a golden boy. But he's lived up to the hype, and the dude is a total freak. So I'm going to take Andrew Thomas at 5, and then we're going to have Jedrick Wills here at number 6 to the Chargers. Now, unfortunately, I do think this will be Justin Herbert, but the Chargers, probably the worst offensive line in the NFL last year behind the Dolphins. I don't think it's a coincidence these two teams are picking in the top 6 this year. So grab Jedrick Wills, patch up that offensive line. No-brainer pick for me. Then the 7th pick, I've been trading down with this Panthers team that I think is definitely in a rebuild, especially with my opinions on Cam Newton and his lack of a future without a shoulder, basically, to summarize that. But in this world, Jeff Okudah falls to them. Now, I don't know what Bradbury's going to do. I don't hate their cornerbacks, but Okudah definitely the best player on the board right now, and I do consider that a need. I like Bradbury. I like Dante Jackson, but I don't know if either of those guys are ever going to be number 1 corners like Jeff Okudah, I think will be. So let's grab him, really make that cornerback room a true strength of that defense, and they can kind of figure out some of those other issues as they go, but can't hurt to add a really good player at a big need like that. And then number 8, I'm going to stick with Derrick Brown to the Cardinals. I know a lot of Cardinals fans want a wide receiver here. I just think Kyler and Cliff, they're going to do a really good job regardless. They scheme guys open so much that you don't necessarily need Jerry Jeudy. Not that he would hurt, but it's really hard to find a guy like Derrick Brown who's going to just automatically instill some toughness to this defense, going to help that run defense, which you're not going to hear me say often that you need to draft guys to fix your run defense, but you've also heard me say consistently, run defense doesn't really matter to the extent where like you can't be one of the 3 to 7 worst teams defending the run in the NFL. You can't just let teams run all over you like I think you'll be able to do against this Cardinals team next year if they don't do anything. And Derrick Brown is the rare kind of player that will not just help you in run defense, but does have that explosiveness off the ball, the ability to generate some pass rush. So I'm going to take Derrick Brown here for the Cardinals. I know it's not a popular pick for Cardinals fans. Some might like it, but I think it's the right thing to do for this Cardinals team. Really give this defense a heartbeat, I should really say, with a beast in the middle there in Derrick Brown. Then Jacksonville here. Up until Isaiah Simmons weighed in at almost 240 pounds at the combine, I've had him falling here. I don't think that's going to happen. It seems pretty unlikely. Without him, with those top 2 tackles gone, I'm definitely thinking about a trade down here for Jacksonville. They're in such a tough spot, but I think more picks is good for them at this point. Again, with Tua here, you're starting to think about him for sure, but how much better is he even going to be than Gardner Minshew? If you do draft him, is he going to be healthy? So I'm looking to move down. I think later in this first round, you're going to be looking at pretty similar caliber picks at their needs. And this is a team I've had trading up pretty consistently here. The Philadelphia Eagles moving up for Jerry Jeudy. It's an aggressive move, but if this team's picking where you hope they're going to be picking anyway in those 20s, you're talking about a 50-50 hit rate anyway. This is a massive need. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, one of the most can't-miss players in this entire class. So you give up that 21st pick, you give up a future first and a 4th-round pick, you move up, you get him. It's a team with cap issues that's going to have a hard time finding that number 1 wide receiver if it's not through the draft. This gives you a guy on a cheap 4-year rookie contract to work with Wentz. It's a no-brainer if you can do it if you're the Eagles, and I think it makes sense for the Jaguars too. Then the 10th pick, for the Browns, it's really been not what position are the Browns going to take at 10, it's what tackle are the Browns going to get at 10, and here it's Tristan Wirfs, so let's just move on. Then the Jets, CeeDee Lamb. It kind of feels like this is where we're headed here with the Jets, as long as Jerry Jeudy is gone, and these 3 tackles go, which may or may not happen. If those 4 guys are gone, this is a no-brainer pick. CeeDee Lamb, huge need for the Jets. Give Sam Darnold a true number 1 wide receiver to grow up with. Then the Raiders at pick 12. This is a tough spot. Really the best player left on the board right now. There's kind of 2 guys, Mekhi Becton and Javon Kinlaw and Henry Ruggs. You know, I've talked about it with Ruggs. In this world, Derek Carr isn't going anywhere. And like it or love it, if you're a Raiders fan, Derek Carr is what he is at this point. He is consistently at the bottom in depth of target year after year after year, and it shows on tape. He's just not an aggressive quarterback. There's a reason Gruden is surrounding him with Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, Foster Moreau, obviously Darren Waller, like short to intermediate passing targets. You've got Tyrell Williams in there as well that you're paying a ton of money. Henry Ruggs at 12 is just not going to be a good pick because Derek Carr is not going to use him. Mekhi Becton, Raiders don't need tackles. So I'm thinking about trading down, but I don't know who here is really a great candidate there. I'm just going to take Javon Kinlaw. It's a little tough because this is the one position on this Raiders defense that they don't necessarily need anyone. They got PJ Hall, Maurice Hurst, but Kinlaw is just such a better player than PJ Hall. And if you're going to roll out mediocre pass rushers like Clelin Ferrell and Max Crosby and have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, at least get that pressure on the inside, and I think Javon Kinlaw can give you that right away, by the way. And then the 13th pick where the Giants traded down, they're going to land Mekhi Becton. That was kind of the plan here. There's 4 tackles in this class that I think warranted that trade down, so you're going to get Mekhi Becton there. Let's keep moving. The 14th pick, Tampa Bay, really tough spot. I mean, Henry Ruggs, probably the best player on the board right now, based on my own draft board. You got some good corners there as well. They're good values, but I kind of like what Tampa Bay has going at corner. So I'm looking to move down, and it's going to be a team that I've had moving up, and that's the Green Bay Packers coming up for Henry Ruggs to get that Deshaun Jackson in this offense. I really think the lack of a deep threat has totally shot Aaron Rodgers' confidence. Ever since Jordy Nelson is gone, this team hasn't had a vertical threat at all. And you love Devontae Adams, but he's okay as a deep threat, but he's not a great deep threat, and they need him in the short to intermediate game to get open because no one else can do that there. So to me, this is like the missing piece for this offense. You got to be a little aggressive to get that. You're giving up your first-round pick this year, a future first-round pick, a fourth-round pick this year. I think this team really screwed up taking Rashawn Gary over Marquise Brown last year, and this is the only opportunity they're going to have to make amends for that. So the second they hear a team that's kind of looking to move down, which I think makes a lot of sense for Tampa Bay in this situation with those top tackles all gone, I think they got to pull the trigger. And then 15 here, the Denver Broncos. We're going to have another wide receiver off the board, Justin Jefferson. I love this fit. He stunned me at the combine. For one, at 6'3", 195, where he was listed at LSU, that's a long, lengthy, skinny wide receiver to be playing in the slot. Well, he comes in and weighs at 6'1", 202. All of a sudden, all right, you're closer to like Michael Thomas. You're a thicker guy. He looked thick as well. Then he runs 4.44. And he had the skill set in college to be a great contested catch guy. And I'm thinking, why can't this guy play as an outside wide receiver? So here in Denver, you can play him on the outside of Courtland Sutton. You can give it a go. But if that doesn't work, you have that number one outside guy in Courtland Sutton. You stick Justin Jefferson in the slot next to Noah Fant. I mean, talk about weapons for Drew Lock to work with. Then the 16th pick, a high floor, I don't want to say lower upside, but that is kind of how I perceive Kristian Fulton here to the Atlanta Falcons, who they're ready to win, they're ready to compete, but they need some cornerback help. So Kristian Fulton going to stay in the southeast corner of the country and plug right in as that press zone corner in this Atlanta defense. Then the Dallas Cowboys at pick 17, sticking with a safety here, but we're going to change it up. Grant Delpit. A little bummed that he didn't work out at the combine, still recovering from that ankle injury, but it goes to show you what he kind of dealt with at LSU with those injuries in a very disappointing junior season. His sophomore tape is incredible. It was a top 10 player coming into the season, just stock kind of dropped a little bit. So I think I like Xavier Woods as well as a free safety there for Dallas. So you take Grant Delpit, all of a sudden you got a pretty intriguing safety duo there. For the Dallas Cowboys. Then the Miami Dolphins at 18. This is going to really start to piss Dolphins fans off. Still not taking Tua. I just don't think he'd be good here. I really don't. Not behind that offensive line. So I'm going to actually focus on the trenches on the other side of the ball and take Yetur, Gross, Matos. Big, strong, lengthy edge defender. Massive need for this Miami Dolphins team. My plan in this draft is to address the trenches on both sides of the ball that are major weaknesses for this team. Tua's not going to come in here and make this team a Super Bowl contender this year. And frankly, I don't think he will for the long term either. So I just don't like the landing spot at all. Then we've got the Raiders at 19 again. Kenneth Murray here, prototype modern linebacker. This one was pretty easy. I think the value's about right. He's not a perfect player, but pretty damn good. Looked like a freak before his hamstring pulled off at the combine. But you put Javon Kinlaw, you put Kenneth Murray in that front seven, all of a sudden I can start to get excited about this defense. Maybe in the front seven, kind of helps the back end a little bit. So you're really landing two freaks for that front seven that, I'm very hard on this Raiders defense. I don't think it's built very well. I think it's the worst defensive roster in the entire NFL, but this would definitely be a boost to that and would change my perception of that. Then the Jags, we got back-to-back picks. This is going to be the Tua pick. I think Tua is such a risk, but if you're the Jags, it's almost like why not at this situation? You traded down from 9. All the top tackles have since gone. So you're almost playing with house money, having moved down to this point. This does feel like a team that is kind of a quarterback away. Like they still have some talent scattered on this roster. They could compete for a playoff spot if they get that quarterback thing figured out. So bring in Tua. Maybe he stays healthy. Maybe he beats out Gardner Minshew. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Gardner just is elevated by all of this and turns into a really good quarterback. Who knows? Getting that franchise quarterback is so important. I think this increases the likelihood that Jacksonville can do that. And then at 21, I'm going to grab CJ Henderson. You fill in that corner spot. Massive need, having traded Jalen Ramsey. Pretty easy pick. I think he's a really good player and a great scheme fit in this zone-heavy scheme. Then the Buffalo Bills, T. Higgins. I go back and forth on him. He looks really athletic on tape, but I'm really bummed he didn't test at the combine. But at the end of the day, I think Buffalo, you got the speedy deep threat in John Brown. You got the slot guy in Cole Beasley. They need more of that number one profile, that go-to guy, Josh Allen. could really benefit from that big body in T. Higgins, and I think the value's about right here at 22. Now, if he comes out at his pro day where he has to run, in my opinion, but if he comes out and runs like a 4.6, 4.65, like screw it, you're a second-round player. But I think he does have that 4.5 speed in there. I just want him to show it. My comp for him is Kenny Golladay, so I'm not necessarily low on T. Higgins. Definitely just bummed that he didn't run. And then pick number 23, this is where I'm going to have Jake Fromm coming off the board here to the New England Patriots. Big debate on if Jake Fromm is and should be a first-round pick. And I agree, physically he looked like just a guy at the Combine, but like I always say, the Combine can't really change a quarterback's stock. It's all about what you do on film. And I still firmly believe Jake Fromm, by the film, is a first-round player, especially to a team here like the New England Patriots, who are consistently going to have a hard time getting like a top 5 to 10 pick to, have that top high-end elite prospect. So to me, a guy like Jake Fromm at 23 is about as good as it's going to get as long as Bill Belichick is their head coach. My comp for Jake Fromm is Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's the perfect fit here in New England to, we'll see what happens with Tom Brady, but get groomed here behind Tom Brady with Josh McDaniels in this quick-hitting passing game. I think he was completely misutilized at Georgia, where they were running the ball or running a screen on basically every first or second down. So open it up a little bit. He's still only 21 years old. I think this is a great fit, and he could very well be a 10 to 15-year franchise quarterback here for the Patriots. Then the Saints, another great pick here, Patrick Queen. They need starters next to Demario Davis, but they need a long-term plan as well. Davis is on the last year of his deal. He's into his 30s at this point, so he's going to be gone pretty soon. Patrick Queen, you keep him in his backyard here in Louisiana. Modern stud linebacker, pretty no-brainer pick here for the Saints. Then the Vikings, we're going to grab cornerback Trevon Diggs, the best corner on the board. I think Rhodes gets cut. Trey Wayne's set to be a free agent. Mackenzie Alexander is going to be gone probably, so huge depth issues at corner. They don't really have the free agent cap space to bring in someone, so we're going to address that through the draft here with Trevon Diggs. And then Miami at pick 26. A lot of people are going to be wondering at this point, where's Justin Herbert? Well, I got a second to a fourth round grade on Justin Herbert. I think he's the next Paxton Lynch, so in a what I would do mock draft, I will not be drafting him in the first round. What I will be doing with Miami is sticking with the theme here. We're going to grab Josh Jones, who had some of the best, if not the best, tackle film in college in his final season. Granted, against lower level competition against Houston, but only allowed 2 pressures the whole year. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl and kicks ass. So, you put Andrew Thomas and Josh Jones on opposite ends, you can kind of fill out the interior of the offensive line. That's a little easier to do. Getting a tackle duo like that set up for the future, for whatever your quarterback situation is down the road, or hell, maybe it is Josh Rosen playing for a good offensive line for the first time in his career. That's my plan with this Dolphins team. Tua's fine as a player. Tackle classes like this, you guys got to realize, don't come around like ever. Josh Jones is probably the 5th best tackle in this class. He might be better than anyone in last year's class and stacks up with anyone in the last couple years as well. So I'm maximizing that opportunity if I'm the Dolphins this year. And then the Seattle Seahawks at pick 27. This is a player that I think they are going to have very high on their board, probably in the top 10 to 15 of their own board, and that is AJ Epenesa, who is falling because didn't work out great, doesn't have those elite traits as a pass rusher, but my God, is he not a perfect fit here in Seattle, who I think has really not been the same since Michael Bennett left as that big-bodied edge defender on first and second down, kicks inside to be a mismatch problem for stiffer interior linemen. Can be that pass rushing threat on the inside. So AJ Epenesa, I think if Seattle can get him at 27, he could be just a 10-year starter and a stud at a position that they've been trying to find. LJ Collier, I don't think they can sit around and kind of keep hoping that investment works out. The dude couldn't even get on the field as a rookie, and he's like 24 years old. So just try again at a position that they really need. And Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is going to be gone. So there you go. The Ravens at 28 was a bit of a luxury pick here. All the top wide receivers to me are gone. A good fit here would be Laviska Shenault, but I'm really kind of souring on him and his injury concerns and what's going on with him. But one pick that I just kind of like is Tyler Biadasz to the Ravens. I don't know if it's necessarily like a slam dunk pick. This team's done a pretty good job developing those interior offensive linemen. But I got a lot of confidence that he's going to be a really high-level center in the NFL for like 8 to 10 years. And you pair that with the tackle duo they have there, put that in front of Lamar Jackson. He's an excellent run blocker as well, which we know this Ravens team wants to run the ball. I mean, just plug him in there. It's almost like a luxury pick, but I actually really like that. And this pick, too, is just a great fit. Anfernee Jennings to the Tennessee Titans. I've talked about it all the time, but same thing. Like that physical mindset in a perfect scheme fit. You might want a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux who's still sitting here. You've got that speed off the edge. You've got Harold Landry. I don't think this team wants to sit around and wait on Thibodeaux for 2 or 3 years to find out if he's going to be a good player. He's extremely raw. Anfernee Jennings, well ahead of the curve. Can rush the passer, can drop in coverage, is an excellent run defender, which I think this team's going to value. Mike Vrabel's going to love this guy. See him as that Dont'a Hightower clone that he is. So just take him and plug him right in. I think this is what this team's going to be looking for. And then Kayvon Thibodeaux's going to come off the board to the Bucs, who traded down here to the 30th pick. That's why I made the move. A lot of people think he's going to be a top 15, top 20 pick. I'm not so sure about that. He's just very raw. He didn't produce a whole lot at LSU. You're drafting him based on traits. Now, this is an excellent fit. They need that edge position. He's going to get a lot of time to play and develop, and he's going to be getting coached up by Todd Bowles, who's one of the best 3-4 coaches in the league, if not the best. So I love the fit. I love the value after trading down, getting that future first-round pick. And then the 31st pick here, Xavier McKinney here to the San Francisco 49ers. A bit of a fall. He ran his 40 in the 4.6s. That can definitely push guys back. The dude's a playmaker, though, and this is a huge need for the Niners. I'm not too worried about that 40 time, but I do think it could lead to him having a little bit of drop, assuming he doesn't improve it at his pro day. And then the pick 32 here, this would have the rest of the NFL just so jealous. I think this player right here, Willie Gay Jr., just might be a top 10 player in this class, might be the best linebacker in this class, and that's including Isaiah Simmons, depending on how you kind of perceive what position Simmons is. Willie Gay's tape is incredible. He's one of the best linebacker prospects, strictly speaking, on his tape and athleticism. The dude is a baller. When he's on the field, he is a stud. But he's got those off-field concerns. Was kicked in and out of the school, like for missing classes, like just weird off-the-field concerns. He is the Tyreek Hill of a linebacker position. And the Chiefs have shown, let's just say, a propensity to take a risk on low-character types of prospects. And they are playing with house money. They just won a Super Bowl. It's the 32nd pick in the draft. Why not swing for the fences here with Willie Gay Jr., a team that's had a lot of success with guys like this, with Tyreek Hill. You know, honestly, Kareem Hunt, if he wasn't a running back, would still be around there. And it's a huge need for them, too, that cover linebackers. So I think this would excite a lot of Chiefs fans. And I think they're one of the teams that would pull the trigger on a guy like this. All right, that's the mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do hit that like button if you did. A reminder to subscribe. Come back on draft night because I will be doing a live stream here on YouTube reacting to all the picks. Please do drop your comments below what you think. Cheers as always, and we'll see you later. Peace.